Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Real Football Talk. We'll be doing the season review for the following team: Crystal Palace, Everton, Fulham, Leicester City, and Liverpool, where we'll be discussing how their season went, what they need to do next year in terms of their progressing, and who their best players were. And the panelists will give their grades for their season performance. The first team we're going to focus on will be Liverpool. I'll come to you straight away, Cam. What did you make of this season?
You know, considering all the things that happened in the season, I've got to say it's pretty positive season in the end, in the grand scheme of things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of people started, as soon as we got the Van Dijk injury, everyone thought that's it, our season's over. But we were still top in January. You know, this happened in October, and we were still flying the flag. But I think it was a collection of unfortunate events. After Van Dijk, you had the Gomez injury, which was long-term, then the Matip injury. All your centre-backs out of action. Then Hendo gets injured. Jota has a blinding start to the season, and then he gets injured. Has a lengthy period on the sideline. Trent wasn't really performing to the levels he was last season, and then the front three weren't converting as well as last season. The likes of Firmino obviously didn't have the greatest season. Salah, yes, you could say he performed.
A lot of negatives.
A lot of negatives, but I'm coming on to the. I'm getting there. I'm giving the excuses. It's not the negatives. It's the excuses, right? So to top it off, Alisson, his father dies in a tragic accident. Klopp's mum dies. It
was too snowy outside.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Yeah, carry on.
And then, you got a 3.5 year unbeaten run at Anfield. Again, everyone thought lack of fans is going to affect us. Well, it did eventually, but it didn't affect us in October. It affected us in January eventually. And once we'd lost that first one, it was like a.
I think they realized all their misfortune months after they happened.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. Look, they had a chance in January to correct it all, which you buy in Ben Davies and then you don't even use him. Like, what's that about? Look, so ultimately, I think what cost us over everything was playing Fabinho and Hendo at the back, and not because of they weren't poor at the back. It was what we missed in the middle from them being at the back. So. Gini, Thiago, Curtis Jones, they don't do that same role as what Hendo does or what Fabinho does, especially Fabinho's role. He's more of a CDM. And once Klopp stopped protecting the backup centre-backs, right, and started playing them, we started getting results. If you look at those last 10 games, 10 games, 8 wins, 2 draws. Where did the 2 draws come from? When he had Fabinho at the back, right? And when he trusted even the likes of Reece Williams, which would have even bottom of the table, they were there to do a job. And the way Liverpool play, their job's probably not as hard as someone lower down in the table, basically. So I do think, once Klopp had figured that out, I think a lot of fans had said it.
It took him a long time, but I'm going to move on to Gabriel about his.
Myself. That was an Oscar. That was an Oscar speech.
Great excuses. I mean, we got excuses from one Liverpool fan, and we want to see what we get from you.
Whatever Cameron said is 100% true.
Did we expect
however,
there's always a however.
I'm a big fan of Klopp, right? And Klopp's done wonders for Liverpool. But however, Klopp lost the plot. Let's be honest. Come in January, right, when we were top of the league, we've had many injuries, right? We can't change the fact. You had Thiago injured at the same time. Anonymous injury. He was out for a while too. So listen, once you take your you take the engine out of your team into centre back. You put the person who breaks your play for being out. You're missing the link. You're missing the drive to midfield. And what that does, it puts people like Trent, who gets covered by Hendo, gets covered by Fabinho, to start performing bad. Now, we all know Trent is great going attacking, but defensively he doesn't track back, and that's Klopp's decision. Klopp allows him to play like that because he has players to cover his side. Hendo normally covers, Fabinho covers. When you got those players out of position playing centre back, Thiago can't do it. Gigi sometimes, if he wants to do it, can do it, etc. And Curtis Jones. However, the fact of the matter was, Klopp didn't believe in the players like Reece Williams or Nat Phillips, right? When we had problems at the centre back, he should just thrown him. No one would have said to Klopp at that present time, look, every Liverpool fan, every pundit would understand that Liverpool are playing with a young back two centre backs. They got no option but to play them, and we will roll it through, because you're better off playing players in the position not being played in the position. So come that January, we were still up there. In that January period, we lost the league. Everything was finished. The season near enough ended for us, and then we end up going out of Europe again. Same problem. And at the end, he had no choice, because realistically, the last 10 games, we shouldn't even be in the top 4. We shouldn't even be anywhere near. The top 4 should have been cemented. However, Leicester start rocking, Chelsea start rocking, and Liverpool had a bit of a lifeline. Man United start resting players. Man United teams were protecting the players for Europe, and what happened was Liverpool were going to a run. And in that period of run, when we had Nat Phillips and Williams play, however, they didn't have much defending to do, just because of the fact that Fabinho was playing in the centre of midfield, just because he was sweeping it up, just because he was controlling the game. The guy plays on the front foot, and then you saw Thiago come into his own. Gigi started playing. However, it was a poor season. I expected Liverpool to challenge. They didn't challenge. Yes, it was a great end, and it would have been heartache if Liverpool didn't finish in the top 4, because players like Salah and Mane and these kind of quality players should be playing in Europe, and people want to watch these kind of players playing in Europe. And thank God we got there. But again, we got there the hard way, and FSG needs to look at himself that in January, where we knew these 3 players were out, we end up buying. We bought Kabak, who, yes, potential, but realistically, looks like a Sunday League defender. And you got Davies, who bought from Preston, who hasn't even kicked the ball yet. And then still we ended up playing with players that was in our reserves. So at the end, yes, the good thing is we made Europe, but it has been a disappointing season. However, I think we'll come strong next season. And unfortunately, the injuries we've had, no team, let me just clear this up. While I rate by Klopp, no team with that injuries would have finished in the top 4. Not Man United, not Chelsea, not Man City. Man City had Laporte injured, and they struggled to even compete.
They go in the top 4, man.
They finished second.
They go into top 4. I think other teams could have.
Klopp
isn't the only good manager.
No, Chef, you can't say that.
If you look at Leicester's defense,
Pep could have his whole back 4.
Hold on one second.
Pep could have his whole back 4.
Hold on 1 second. This is where we go again. Stop. One of you talk, and I'll listen, and I'll reply back to you.
There's no replying by Sam.
No, I reply. No.
We're just hearing
it. Your opinion. All I'm saying is Pep could have as many injuries, and he will still get top 4.
No, but you're telling me with the injuries,
Liverpool is a unique. There's other teams who have strong squads.
Adil, come on, please.
I'm saying it, please. I'm saying already. They proved it with their backups. They were still winning every game. City. They already proved it. They could have their first 4 defenders.
Adil's going on his rants again. He's going to his rant, but he's not listening. Adil's going to his rant.
Can I step in there? Because yes, you're right. Man City probably could have had same amount of injuries and then done.
Cam, what we say is Leicester also had their whole defense out pretty much.
But look how that affected them in the end. They missed out on the top.
Let's get back onto the topic. Let's get back onto you two have had your
interrupted.
No. You're trying to change the argument. Who cares? They got top 4. Well done to them. They got top 4. You don't know what other teams that other managers can do.
Nah, I guarantee you.
I'm sure other teams that other managers.
You telling me. Right, let's name them. Right? There's no excuse. There's no excuse. No, I'm going to debate with you. There's no excuse. Matip, Gomez, Van Dijk, Jota, Henderson, Thiago, You're telling me
I don't know what part you did.
Seven starters.
Pep,
Seven
Pep
starters
with the same
in a team.
problems with still getting to the top
But
four.
Seven starters in a team, though.
The difference
After
with Pep, can I just get a word in?
After
Right?
you just gunned Klopp for all his mistakes, you're now trying to say
he's
he's
I didn't gun. I said
you do what he did last time.
Guys, listen. I'm gonna stop here. Royal Cam. No, nothing more to say. Adu, can you give?
I haven't said anything.
That's fine. I don't want to hear it.
We'll go back to Liverpool's season. Yeah, I think their season's been a disappointment personally because of last season. They should be going for title, and like Cam and Vaisa Bruhelbai has mentioned, their problem that they had during the season, they were all at the beginning of the season, and they were still top in January. The problem was Klopp, just like Ruhelbai said. And the problem wasn't of Gomez getting injured or Van Dijk getting injured. The problem was when Matip got injured. Klopp showed his favoritism for Thiago, and that's where everything went downhill. Because he was unwilling to give Thiago a rest because he was getting on a lot of fans were on his back, a lot of press was on his back. What he did was Fabinho came back into the team from injury, and then he had a problem of four first choice midfielders fitting into 3 positions. So what he did was he then had to, the stats are there by Sam. I can give you all the stats. Either way, let me finish. You can counter once I finish. You can counter once I finish. So the problem was he had Thiago, he had Wijnaldum, he had Thiago, Wijnaldum, Fabinho, and Henderson, and he didn't want to drop any of them. So then he pushed Fabinho into defense, and that's where all the problems started because Klopp showed a weakness in terms of not willing to make the tough decision, and he done the same thing up front. The reason why Liverpool has struggled this season, and don't get me wrong, I think Klopp is the best manager in the world right now. I rate him higher than Pep Guardiola, but it doesn't mean he wasn't the fault for their weaknesses this season. He was, because at the end of the day, why did Mane have such a bad season? Why was Firmino allowed to play? It's because of favoritism. He is too loyal to his players, and that's the problem. The season they won the Champions League, the season they won the league, he rotated his squad regularly. This season, he wasn't willing to rotate his squad. He became too loyal because of the criticism that certain players were getting. He became too loyal to them to show his loyalty to them, to prove the press wrong and the fans wrong. He stuck with Fabinho when Jota was clearly the informed player. He stuck with Mane when other players deserved that chance more. So I think the main reason I say Liverpool's season is a disappointment is because of that. It's because of Klopp. He made a lot of mistakes, and the last 10 games prove it. They proved my point that if he actually trusted his players, I still think they could have gone for a title challenge this year, because at the end of the day, whatever they did in January didn't actually increase the squad, improve the squad. It made them weaker. So he actually already had the solutions and the answers at the club, but he wasn't willing to trust them. So for that reason, I still stand by that. I think this was a season where Klopp cost Liverpool challenging for honors. You can't ever say they would have won it, but their problems at the start of the season, they were still top. The problem came when Matip got injured, and he wasn't willing to make tough decisions on dropping Thiago at the time, who kind of needed a rest. And that's what made him think about putting Henderson at the back, putting Fabinho at the back.
They were poor. Speed you up here. In terms of Liverpool and next season, Cam, what do they need to do for next season to, get that title back and challenge in front?
For starters, they need to recoup what they have, right? Those players need to come back fresh. The ones that are injured, finish the season injured, right? I mean, everyone can say we need 2 new centre backs, whatever. Look, we got Konate. He's coming now. I think that's enough because the other 3 are coming back, and then you've got the backups like Nat Phillips and whoever else. So on that side, I'm not worried. I know Gini's going to be a big loss.
Is that all they need? They need more players?
you know what? Obviously, when you've got one out of the front three that are firing, yes, one of them needs to go, and I would say it's Firmino. I say that with a heavy heart, but you know, I wouldn't mind a Haaland or Mbappe coming in for him. You know, that would lighten the heart a bit, right? So, but I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening anytime soon, right? Or ever, right? But I actually don't think we need to strengthen in midfield. We've got a strong midfield. It's an industrious midfield, which it always has been, and it still is. It's at the back now. We just need that consistency of players not getting injured. Hopefully that's the case. Look, Van Dijk. You got to remember, Matip is one of those players who is injury prone. There's a difference between muscle injuries and whatever, and when you get fouled and you're out for the season.
Konate is injury
That's what
prone,
happened with Van Dijk, so you can rely on him next season.
Konate is injury prone.
Well, yeah, they'll have 5 defenders, so they got a bit more, 6.
Yeah, we got Nat. I think we'll be all right. We got Nat. He's
let's see if they keep him. They're gonna sell him, man.
Ruel, you
They're gonna sell him for 10 or 20 mil.
By the way, just before I go, look, you mentioned about City having 7 injuries. They could do the same thing. Why can they do the same thing? Because they've got 7 backup players that are also first-team players. Liverpool do not have that, right? There's a big difference.
When it comes to my bit, I'll answer that.
Ruel, quickly on to you. You seem to disagree with Cam's.
No, I agree, but there's certain things like, for example, you know, Liverpool need to go challenge for the Premier League. You know, when you got people like Klopp in charge, he's the real deal. So FSG needs to put their hands in the pocket and needs to invest. Now, if you want to keep Klopp, you need to invest. Simple as that. And I'll be honest with you, you need a world-class midfielder who's going to be creative. You can't be buying upcoming. You need to go and buy yourself an elite midfielder, ready-made player. You know, go and get someone in. However, at the same time, you know, you talk about Bobby Firmino. You know, you can't. You know, people say Bobby Firmino's had a bad season. Yeah, he has. So has Mane. So would you sell Mane or would you sell Bobby Firmino? Without Bobby Firmino, Mane, Salah, you know, I don't think they're great without him. Because when I've seen Jota play, however, when Jota plays, he makes those runs. But Bobby Firmino, he lacks goals. We all know he lacks goals. 1 minute. We know all he lacks goals. But would you want Bobby Firmino to play for your team or would you want him to play for an opposition? Look, it's all about confidence. Bobby Firmino's been out of confidence. Mane's been out of confidence. Trent's been out of confidence. But however, last 3-4 games, Bobby Firmino started showing up. He started scoring. So
who do you think they should need to buy?
They can't afford no one. You know they can't afford no one.
But who do you think they
FSG is not going to spend 50, 60 million.
Beside the point, who should they get?
Harry Kane's on the market, right? I would love Harry Kane at Liverpool. It's not going to happen.
They would not. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we want Haaland. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So we can't get any other areas Liverpool need to improve in terms of signing positions.
I think personally, Liverpool lack one thing, and I think they need a goal-scoring midfielder. You know, with Mane, Salah, and Bobby. Okay, you know, between them they will score. We need someone who's a dead ball specialist who's gonna score goals from long range. We've lacked that since Coutinho's left.
We need that kind of Oxlade injury. Oxlade not getting injured.
Ox is made out of glass. Cage is made out of glass. Matchup's made out of glass. These guys don't understand.
Don't you think you need a good backup right back and a left back?
Yeah, I say
a lot of games. You bought Timashek or whatever his name is, but I don't think he's played even a single game.
Look, no, yeah, I get, 100%. But then you got Milner who can slot into there. Milner's obviously going to stay for another season. He can do a job there. However, on right back, you know, you got Gomez coming back. I reckon with Konate coming into the team, I think they might shift Gomez back to right back system. There might be a ploy in even bringing Trent into midfield. We don't know. We don't know what they're thinking. You know, I got a feeling, and I think Klopp is thinking of bringing maybe Trent into midfield and put Gomez right back and put Konate and Van Dijk in central midfield. He's not going to buy someone for £45 million and leave him on the bench. He's going to start with Van Dijk. So that could be an option because I think Trent can be a midfielder and he can have that creative spark and do something. But at the end of the day, listen, Liverpool not going to spend big. It's not going to happen. I heard today that Rafinha is one they're looking at, and that would be a good buy. That's someone that'd give a bit more
bit more attacking presence. You know, someone like him, but he ain't gonna be cheap either. I reckon 45, 50 million.
The problem with Rafinha is if you're buying him, you're buying him as one of the front three, and that is not what we. I mean, if you're going to buy someone to replace front three, you need someone world class to replace the front three. Rafinha, I would love him at the club. Don't get me wrong, but the system he plays at the moment, he can't be replacing one of. You know, when Mane's having an off day, fair enough, or you know, Salah, whatever. You can fit him in, but generally.
But do you think, Cameron, can you put Salah up front, shift Salah to the strike position?
Absolutely, you could. That's what I'm saying. So you could mix things up, but you definitely need someone world class. The centre mids, I think next season we should be starting with Hendo, Fabinho, and Thiago. Because Thiago
it's meant to be signings of next season. But
let's move on.
Can I say for Liverpool, they just need two things to change. They need Klopp to trust his players. You can buy Rafinha. What's the point if he's not going to drop anyone in the front three? So I just think some of the arguments, they're baseless. Klopp needs to change. He needs to go back to trusting his squad, back to trusting his players, and not doing too much favoritism. And every manager, even the greats, they all fall for that trap. So I think towards the end, he showed he's going back to, playing players on form. And then the other thing is FSG need to have a big club mentality. I think 100%. That's the biggest thing. You've still got Robertson on his first contract. You've got Trent on his there's the reasons why Mane, the problems of this season's disunity is because of FSG. It's not Klopp's fault. It's at the end of the day, it's not Klopp's fault that they chose not to replace Lovren when they sold him. It's not Klopp's fault they got this crazy desperation to sell players for ridiculous prices. And if they don't, they just keep them on the books. Do you get it? At the end of the day, these are FSG and maybe Michael Edwards. That's a club problem. And I think they need to have a big club mentality where they actually support Klopp better. Because I think he's been hung out to dry this season with the way they've gone on with the Kabak and Ben Davis. It's all small club mentality. They're trying to get players on the cheap, relegated or running down contracts. It's not the way a big club like that should behave. So I just think FSG needs to step up and Klopp needs to go back to trusting his squad.
Imagine if Klopp had Sheikh Mansour's money.
Cam, I'm gonna move.
That's just
forget that.
Anyway, yeah.
All right, best player for Liverpool this season. Quick ones, guys. Cam,
Salah. If Nat played the full season, I might have even given it to him.
Real?
It's gonna have to be Salah.
Adil?
I don't think anyone deserves it. Move on. Salah did what he does every season. I mean, he didn't do anything special. He played worse, but got the numbers. So I'm not going to praise it. But yeah, I don't think. Nat Phillips is the only guy I thought really stood out. So didn't think Robertson was bad, but that was it.
In terms of grades, guys, what are you giving Royal?
C.
C. Cam?
B-, I think.
B-.
I went with C.
And I went for a C+.
Oh, you went for something this time, Hassan. Oh, wow.
All right, guys. The next thing we're going to discuss is Leicester City. I'll come to you, Adil, first to start with Leicester. What did you make of their season?
Yeah, I think despite not making the top four again, I think they've had a phenomenal season. They haven't made a big song and a dance about their injury problems, but they've had their fair share in the back line too. They've had their key players, that's the strangest thing. When you look at the back end of the season, you realize what a weak squad they actually got. They got a decent first 11, but they got a weak squad, and the players that shine for them, that's carrying them. Every single one of those players were the ones to get injured. Barnes, at the time he got injured, he was carrying the team. Fofana got injured at the beginning of the season. James Justin was the informed player in their team. He got injured. So they've actually lost players when they were at their peak. playing their best football. So I think even fifth for them is still an amazing achievement. And the main thing is winning the cup. Winning the cup, that just validates everything they're doing. So I still think Leicester had an excellent season. And yeah, it's easy to draw on the fact that they even lost Maddison when he was on form. So I think Brendan Rodgers is really showing himself to be an elite manager, and he's made the best of really quite a weak squad. There's other teams below them that have stronger squads, much stronger squads. So if you take the squad into and factor that in, plus the injuries, fifth is still an amazing job.
Ruel, what did you make of this season?
I thought they've had a phenomenal. They've had a very, very phenomenal. I can't even say the word. Look, I'm a Rodgers fan. Listen, I'm a Rodgers fan. He when he was at Liverpool, he was still naive as a manager. He wasn't well known as a manager. However, he went to Celtic. He got a bit of reputation. He's come back, and the brand of football he plays. Come on, who wouldn't want that? He plays good football. Leicester are going to be a threat. I'm calling it here now. If they keep hold of Brendan Rodgers and the owners are serious, they buy some. I don't know who's the scouting network of Leicester is. They end up buying these awesome players for dead cheap, and they become superstars, right? And the scouting network they got in Leicester is just phenomenal. Fofana, I think, is £8.5 million. Justin Jones,
27 million. Like that.
Was Fofana, yeah? Yeah, so it's £27 million. No one even heard of him, but he's come along and looks like a £50 million player. Even the left back they go from Luton, that people looked at him, but look how no one thought he's gonna cut it out. You got Yeri Tillemans, the surprise of all that was the player they got from Man City that took a little while to get his groove going, Iniacho, right? He's had a good season at the end of the season. He'll start banging in goals. Look, winning the FA Cup is not easy, right? Being Chelsea in the final, it ain't easy, right? They won the FA Cup. If you said to me, right, Liverpool won the FA Cup, it's a major trophy. We got big clubs who don't give a crap about the FA Cup. FA Cup is massive. But big club mentality now, they don't look, apart from Man City, they try to create history. But other clubs like Liverpool, Manchester United, I don't know why they don't push. I don't know, maybe with the squad or whatever it is. But FA Cup is massive, and achievement for small little Leicester to do that and compete. Yes, they capitulated at the end of the season out the top four. The season before that, out the top four. Do you think it's going to happen next season? I doubt it very much. I reckon if he's there or thereabouts and he invests, and I think they're looking at some French international defensive midfielder. I can't pronounce his name.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, this guy's supposed to be some sort of wonder kid. I've been hearing. I've been hearing vibes, but how's Leicester getting hold of him? Why aren't the clubs looking at him? So, Brendan Rodgers is going to be hot property, and if he carries on, right, I can't believe the clubs like Arsenal not knocking for him, Spurs not knocking for him. I just can't understand it, but it's good for Leicester. And I think Leicester is going to the right places with Brendan Rodgers.
Anything you add on that?
No, to be honest, yeah. They look. The thing I got to rate about Leicester, I was sad for them to not get the top four. I was really sad, to be honest, because they deserved it. They were in the top four for as long as they were. I think there's that stat going around until pretty much the last week, they were in the top four. And when you think about the injuries they've had, like Barnes was a big miss. Every time they had a big injury, they just came back stronger, until the end of the season. It just fell away. It was as if they didn't have that winning mentality when it mattered.
Mentality, yeah.
And I think that's something.
They had a tough ending as well in terms of the
yeah. That's true. But I think that's something that will grow. It's like Liverpool when Klopp first came in. We were losing finals for fun, right? So eventually he's got that winning mentality. So if Brendan stays there, he can see the project. As long as no one taps him up, he just strengthens a little bit. Then he'll definitely be.
Who was their best player?
Yeah, that's a tough one because I would say Iheanacho had a good finish to the season, and Barnes was looking, before his injury, he was looking on on the money basically.
I'll go for Fofana.
Yeah, for me, it's Tielemans and Fofana for me.
Yeah. I would give it to Tielemans because Fofana, I feel as though that right towards the end of the season, he probably, when Evans got injured, he just showed a little bit of inexperience. And that's what probably I'll tip it towards Tielemans, and especially with FA Cup final goal and things like that, you think that he deserves it.
Tielemans, what a cracking player. Liverpool need to sign him up. Klopp, are you listening? You just sign up Tielemans.
He needs replacement.
When you think about it on a proper level, he's the only genuinely like top world-class player. I mean, that's how amazing this are doing and Rodgers is doing. No one else, they're all good players, but they're not world-class. None of them.
Yeah.
Rodgers been
everyone forgets they beat City 5-2 at the start of the season.
Look, Rodgers is building something special there. Let me tell you. And the owners, what made it more special is the owners in the FA Cup final, the celebration. It means a lot to them. And you can see what kind of owner they are. That's what kind of owners you want at your club. Who are passionate. They love winning. But anyway, great season for Leicester.
I'm going to move it on. In terms of your grade for Leicester, Adil, start with you.
Leicester, I gave B+.
Cam?
I gave B- just because the way they fell away at the end. But that's unfortunate.
I think it was B+ or B.
I gave them a B. Let's move on to the next team, Everton. Quick one on Everton from Ruhel.
Rubbish. Simple.
Be honest.
Right, not because they are my arch rivals. They were one of the best one of the top managers in the world in Ancelotti. Right, he's gone now. However, Everton were up in the first 3-4 months. Were up in the top 4. They bought James Rodriguez. He was firing. However, towards the last 4 months of the season, 5 months, they couldn't buy themselves a win. Now that could be the fact that maybe the investment wasn't there, etc., etc. However, a manager like Ancelotti should be getting the best out of players. You got Richarlison maybe scores 1 in every 10 games. You got Calvert-Lewin started on fire, then you just stopped scoring. He's another manager. He did very similar to Klopp. He kept on trusting these players who started really well, and he just kept on carrying on playing the same players who were out of form. And then you got James Rodriguez for a few games he's shone, and then physicality got to him. But the key player that they bought from Napoli.
But we have to be quick fire.
Yeah. The player that they bought from Napoli. What's his name? Alan. Yeah, I think he was the only decent player I described. But overall, I think he was a poor Everton.
You know what the thing is? I think again they were in a similar position where they had key injuries missing throughout the season. They had Rodriguez out for a while, then Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he went injured and kind of came back. They had Allen out for a while. Doucouré was out for a while. These are key players for them, and when they were missing, the backups weren't good enough. And I think that was the biggest issue and the downfall towards the end of the season, if you compare it to the beginning of the season. Anything to add on that, Adil, quickly before we?
Yeah, I think it's a bit harsh. I don't think their season is as bad. When you look at their squad, they got real imbalance in their squad. They got no wingers. They got a lot of holes in their squad. Where they've strengthened is areas where they already had kind of strength, and I think it's because they maybe want to move some players on, but they strengthened in midfield and defense where they were okay. But clearly they wanted to improve on it. So I think I liked the project until Ancelotti left. I just like the fact that they stuck to their values. They stuck to what they were. And I think the biggest miss for them was Doucouré, because their form went down as soon as Doucouré got injured. And they had no other player like him to make things happen. Obviously, James getting injured made a difference as well. But I think the main thing was Doucouré.
Adil, player of the season?
For me, Alan Godfrey was excellent. Calvert-Lewin was excellent.
Cam?
I'll give it to Calvert-Lewin just because from what he was last season to this season, he's come on leaps and bounds. Even though he had a poor finish season.
Yeah. He's already said Alan.
Oh, he said Alan. Okay, cool. That's fine.
Do I have to give you a player?
In terms of the grades, what are you guys giving Everton?
I gave C+.
C+. Cam?
C-.
Ruel?
I gave a D.
I gave them a C+. You're very harsh. Let's move on to to the
I
other.
hope they stay like that for the rest of their lives.
Crystal Palace, quick one. Adi, what did you make of their season?
I gave them a decent grading because of the fact that I really feel Roy Hodgson's been given a tough task. He had I think 9 players out of contract this year. We saw with Tottenham how Pochettino struggled with keeping a team motivated when a lot of players have contract issues. I think Roy Hodgson has done an excellent job. They only brought Eze, who's an excellent player, but aging squad. Large number out of contract. I think he's done a really good job to keep that club going in the staying in the league.
And to finish 14th, I mean, fantastic job from Roy Hodgson and the
4 points off Arsenal, wasn't it? 4 positions.
I gave them a C. I mean, we'll get to that. Don't worry.
I gave them a B. I feel they've done a really good job. Roy Hodgson done a good job.
I gave him a C, I think.
And I think Eze. I think everyone will say Eze was the best player for them. Last team, Fulham. What was your take on the Fulham camp?
You know, Fulham, I've got to say they're a very tough team to play against, and they were very unfortunate. Played some awesome football, played some good one-touch, two-touch football. Ultimately, what cost them was too many draws. They didn't have a striker who scored 20 goals this season.
Lacking edge, isn't it? That clinical edge, yeah.
It's like they had after Sheffield United, they had the second lowest conversion rate in Premier League. So if it wasn't for that, I think they would have. 2 players to I think that I earmarked was Anguissa and Lookman. They were quality this season.
I think with Fulham they done really good in terms of build-up play, but when they had the chance and when it was in their play, that's when they choked. And for that, I just think it ends up I know he wasn't happy with the signings, especially the defensive signings, Scott Parker at the start of the season. But if you look at Newcastle, they went and got Joe Willock. They done something in January that transformed them. And Fulham done something similar, but they didn't trust that player. Josh Maja came in, he started scoring, and then they dropped him for Mitrovic again. And he's like, that don't make sense when the player's on form playing. And I think Scott Parker kind of got too clever in a way, but he's got lots of potential, proven himself. They done well to compete, but I still feel like they choked when it was in their hands, and that's bad.
I mean, this is the final grading from everyone with regards to each team. In terms of Fulham, obviously, Adi, you've gone with D, I've gone with F. Cam, you've gone with the D, and Ruhel, you've gone with the E for Fulham.
F is harsh.
Well, I mean, they got relegated. So
what does the whole host don't know nothing about football?
They were
anyway.
never gonna. That was their potential, isn't it? They weren't really.
Thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate it. See you soon.
They're like the heat.
There is no heat. Thank you for coming on. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching.